And of course, Popmart is the talk of the town. So we see Popmart has had quite a journey from its IPO to its downturn during COVID to now this strong upcycle. Its stock is up more than 200% year to date. So what is driving this strong upcycle this time?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think we put out an interesting report back in 21 discussing the China's Gen Z. So we call it post-95 in China. And a few things play out pretty well. And one of the key themes is IP or chasing for small pleasure. This is something really the young generation love. And you actually find that not only the Chinese, Asia young generation like these small cute things, global young generation, they love this. Yeah, so I think the new generation, they are really important as a new categories driver, and we are seeing so. And IP product penetration in China clearly still under-penetrate. Even we see, true, it's a very good growth in the past 3-4 years, but it's still under-penetrate. And going forward, I think it really depends on how companies they can further engage with different consumers in different stage. And also, I think IP portfolio is also very important. And this is why last week we also put out a report discussing more long-term roadmap to become a more sustainable IP companies. So if we learn some lessons from like Sanrio, Bandai, Disney, and so many different companies globally, and how companies in China can also stand out. And I think Popmart and also quite a few different companies, they are working on that. So expanding portfolio, keep engaged with consumers. And not to mention, I think globalization is a big thing. Yeah, so if we look back, a study we had in Japan's 1990, when domestic market either is mature or indeed slow down, globalization is a very important driver for good companies to explore the white space. Yeah, so I think Popmart and quite a few actually Chinese brands, they are exploring the global opportunity, and we see a good chance that they can do well, and not only from the supply chain perspective, but also I think China is a very competitive market, so they also learned a lesson how to quickly respond to what consumers want, and this is why I think not just one factor support the success in the past 2 years globally, but also there are a lot of lessons learned they built up in the past few years.
So do you not see Popmart then or Labubu then as a fad? It's beyond that. It's really become a global phenomenon. But how sustainable do you think that is? Of course, you've mentioned depends on their long-term strategy, if they can crack these international markets successfully. But yeah, how sustainable do you think the Labubu craze is now?
Yeah, I think everyone wants to know that. Yeah, but we did a few studies. I think on the one side, even a very popular IP like Hello Kitty, Frozen, I think they are still very popular and very well known, but they are still cycle. Yeah, so usually when we see that if really popular hit products, not necessarily IP, even some like K-pop, gaming, that could be around like 2-3 years, very big cycle. But one is for this single IP, whether a company can keep it fresh, and even it slow down a little bit, but they still have a decent scale. Yeah, so that's what Hello Kitty did in the past few decades. But on the other side, as a company, a portfolio is so important. So a lesson learned we also from Sanrio is at one time Hello Kitty is 2/3 of the business, but now it's 1/3. And if we look at Popmart's case, Labubu series is like 40% of the revenue. It actually have some good balance. So whether they can construct a portfolio is very important to drive a more sustainable growth longer term.
So it'll be important for it to maybe branch out of just this Labubu IP and actually roll out, just keep rolling out more products. To get people hooked. And finally, how do you look at Popmart's international expansion plan? Can they successfully crack these overseas markets outside of Southeast Asia, perhaps in the West? We've seen some popularity there, thanks to Lisa, perhaps. But yeah, do you think it can go into these markets in a deeper way?
Actually, we study a lot of Chinese companies' experience to go overseas. And one thing interesting, I think, in the very first stage, most of the company leverage the supply chain, so more affordable products and more efficient. But then I think the current stage is really more on the branding side and culture and more entertainment. And we do see the opportunities there. I think go back to a few lessons learned. I think China is a very competitive market, but these days I think global young generation, they always like different things and their preference change quickly. So whether a company can really understand what consumers like and also they can respond quickly. And in addition to that, definitely for the IP, for entertainment, you also need to have a lot of content to support. And content can be very diversified. It's not necessarily movie, animation, a theme park or some short videos. I think that's also very important. And one observation we also have is in the past few years, you can see these short videos, TikTok is getting more popular globally. So this also can make some IP companies or some like brands, they can be easier to engage with consumer. But ultimately, whether a company can be more sustainable, you still go back to see a lot of things. They need to keep consumers refreshed all the time. And definitely, I think the quality of the products and the innovation of the ideas is very important.